Good afternoon. Hello, and welcome to Recovery Solutions with Amanda Marino, the owner of Next Level Recovery Associates. I'm here with a dear friend, and we've been through so many of life's things, and we just have this really cool connection. Tim, who has also been my personal trainer, friend, and just a fellow person in recovery along this journey of life. And so I want to connect to Instagram while, Tim, you introduce yourself.
Sure. All right. My name is Tim Kassouf. Been a personal trainer in South Florida for 5 or 6 years now, but certainly didn't start on that road. The highlights are, I had a pretty standard 9 to 5 career, was building very well with that in Maryland and building a life that I thought was going to work for me. And it wasn't working for me. Found myself dealing with addiction, trapped in this place where, the shame was so much. Only way I knew how to deal with the shame of using drugs or lying was to use more drugs, and it was just this vicious cycle that took me out completely. Luckily, by the grace of God, I got sent to Florida to get some help, and I've been able to build a new life down here in recovery, which took me out of the office and took me into this space for training, personal training, group coaching, where I'm able to help people for a living. And that has been a huge part of, I think, my recovery has been being able to work in in this space where I'm able to help people, because that shame, I think, is something a lot of us deal with, whether or not you have addiction in your history, whether it's food or other unhealthy behaviors. I think we just see that all come up from guilt and shame in a lot of different ways. So I'm able to direct the folks that are struggling with food, maybe to a more healthy place in a fitness setting.
Yeah, and I like the topic. I was typing, so I got everything working. So this has been a work in progress. I shared with Tim that I'm actually not on social media right now, which is hysterical because I'm taking a few days off. But because this is a separate platform, I'm still on there, but I'm off. So anyway, so I got Instagram to connect. And this topic, I was typing this topic, and this is a big topic and a big title, right? It's heavy. Your happiness can't be contingent on your body image, right? Okay, so whether you have struggled with substance use disorder, but many of us who have that issue as well. For me, it didn't come up until I had 9 years in recovery. And for Tim, if you look at Tim is like, shredded, lives this healthy lifestyle, doesn't eat many carbs, like this whole beautiful thing that he does over there. But when Tim shared with me with the physique that he has, that he struggles with the body image thing and that was what brought him back to drinking, that I was like, more people need to hear this, and more men need to hear this, because I felt so shameful when I had that issue at 9 years in recovery, and I was super embarrassed by it. So I love that we're having this topic, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you called it out for men too, because I feel like society has done a good job recently of telling women it's okay, telling girls it's okay to not to love yourself no matter what. It's okay to look how you look. It's okay to talk about this issue if you have it. But I don't think men are hearing that message. I don't know if it's being said to them enough. I don't think so. But I know either way, the same way a little girl might look at a magazine cover and see, the current celebrities and feel like, oh, I'm never going to make it. There's Muscle and Fitness. There's Men's Health magazine. There are superheroes in every movie. And men are feeling that way. Boys are feeling that way. And nobody's even telling them it's okay to discuss.
Yes, exactly. And so I know for me, like my experience was, I was like, oh, well, I've been in recovery for 9 years from my substance use disorder. I'd never, I looked at other people's stories that they first had the body and the food issues. I never had, so I had a hard time identifying or figuring out where I needed to help myself. So what do you think the shame, obviously it comes from some kind of childhood, some kind of trauma, but where does this shame come from? Or what is your experience with that? Because I was fine with, I was an addict and alcohol, but I didn't want to tell anybody that I struggled with food. It was a big shame piece for me.
Right. So I think,
it's got to be harder.
Yeah, I really think that the shame or the issues, the struggles we can have with body image and feeling guilty about not loving the way we look or eating and doing it, I think that's called being a human. I truly believe that is every person on some level, in some way, doesn't like the way they look. I mean, the example I always go to is my wife, who is she's 100 out of 10. She's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And she will always give you the, oh yeah, but this, I could change that. And I'm like, you're crazy. But, so that really made it clear for me that it is normal to feel that way. It's literally, everybody probably feels that way in some degree or not. So the reason I think we get so shameful about it is because nobody talks about that they're dealing with that. You know, she'll tell me, her husband, she's not telling anybody else that. That's not coming up in conversation. And so nobody's talking about this. You know, you've never heard anybody say like, yeah, I really hate this about myself and I'm struggling to accept whatever. And because you've never heard that, when you are dealing with that, you feel alone, you feel lost, you feel isolated. And if you're in recovery, like you described, you hear lots of people talking about their issues, substance abuse, shame, trauma. But even that one, not a whole lot of meetings where they're talking about, I can't stop eating. Not a whole lot of meetings in our program where they're talking about, you know, I was up all night with ice cream again, and I hate myself for that. And so when no one else is talking about it, and that's how you're feeling, you can just feel so alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I changed the screens. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, no, it is really isolating. And, you know, the more and more I work with young men within Next Level Recovery Associates, I see that it is not, you know, just young men, all men. And I've been in, you know, relations with men that it is a struggle and it's talked about. And so I can relate to the fact of when I was in the best, when I wanted to do there was a time before you knew me where I wanted to do a fitness competition. I was a personal trainer. I had a little training business that brought fitness and yoga and meditation into treatment centers before I did what I do. And I was the leanest, most fit I'd ever been. And I was the most lost and disconnected from myself. And I thought once I got to this place with my body that everything would be answered. And I was the most miserable. And I realized fitness competition is not for me. And that's okay. I can honor my dad who passed away in many other ways. I don't have to do a fitness competition.
Right. No, it's true. People ask me a lot all the time. Like, I've been working the last couple of months to try to get leaner and just cut the body fat percentage down as a personal goal, really nothing. And they're like, oh, are you going to do a show? And I always laugh because no, I'm definitely not going to do a show. I don't know what would be worse for my ego, winning or losing. I think it would not be the right place for me to go and try to, you know, request that type of look. But yeah, it's it can be difficult to feel like you're the only one who's felt like this. You can be difficult to feel like, I guess it's just easy to say there's a stigma. There's a stigma around a lot of mental health things. But people are talking about that. I really haven't heard any man talk about the stigma of, you know, I feel shame about my body. I feel shame about the way I look. The other thing you described just now, which is so important, this was a big deal for me, is you said I was the leanest I've ever been and I was the most miserable. And we get this thing called destination disease where we think as soon as I get there, I'll be happy. Once I get that car, once I have that job, once I have that wife, once I have 5% body fat, once I have a couple of abs, once I can bench press, I'll be happy. And
once I have disease, we're going to call that the once I have disease.
What'd you call it?
The once I have disease.
Sure. Yeah, I always call it a destination disease. Either way, whatever you want. Like it is a lie and it'll kill you because you'll get there and then you're still not happy. And then you're going to be looking for, all right, well, what's the next thing I need? What's the next thing I want to try to fix this and solve this? And after you find out 5, 6, 7 times, whatever, 2 times in a row that I'm getting what I wanted and I'm not happy, it can really be a dangerous place, I think, for anybody.
There's no arriving. There's no arriving and there's no external fix to any internal problem.
And that's really it. There's no external fix, including your body. And that can seem like it's an internal thing because it's the way I look. But no, it's or how I feel about my body. Like that's never going to be your ticket to like happiness, joy in your life, peace. It's not, because no matter what you get, there's always more that can be done. One of the things I love about weight training as a sport is that there is no such thing as done. You know, if you play golf and you get a hole in one in every hole, you know, you can't do better than that. If you are lifting, when you reach a goal, there's always more weight. There's just always more weight. There's unlimited growth. But the
Love that.
other side of that is that there's always unlimited growth. So if you're waiting until you arrive to be happy, there's no arrival. There's no place to go.
It's a journey, a wellness journey. And like for me, I like just so I don't know if you know this about me, but I never weigh myself. I literally, even when I go to the doctor, I say, just don't tell me, because for me, it used to be a thing where
Yep.
if it was like a good number, I would go on a binge. And if it was a bad number, I would shame myself. So if I just remove that whole metric for me, like I love all the things of like the challenges that are great for other people that are motivating. For me, they're actually the opposite. And I've identified with that. Like I can love that stuff for other people, but like for me, I just know that that doesn't work. Right.
You're not alone there.
Uh-oh, lost him. Oh no, hopefully he'll come back on. Oh, he's back. Hold on. I lost you for a second. Sorry.
Oh, I'm here. I didn't.
Yeah, you cut off for a second and then pop back on. So I don't know.
Sorry about that. I was thinking if I had $1 for every time I've heard somebody say to me, Tim, as a woman, the scale is really no. We're talking about how the weight, your actual weight, is one of the least important
metrics
indications of metrics of how healthy you are, how fit you are, because you can lose a bunch of fat, build some muscle, your weight might not change, even though you look better. Like, so weight doesn't really matter at all. But
it's irrelevant how I feel.
But people tell me all the time. Tim, as a woman, though, I hear you, but as a woman, that scale, I just can't. I hear you. I agree. What always grates against me is no, as a person, because man,
as a person,
I have lived that so thoroughly.
Yes.
And
as a
it's
person,
not just
right.
a women's issue. It's not.
Yeah, no, I went to this one walk a couple times that was for like, the Eating Disorder Alliance. And there was an event where you smash the scales with
I love that.
And that was really therapeutic for me, because since I don't hang on, like I have a build that's unique, right? I'm tall, I'm curvy. I'm not going to be this standard number. Like for me, a healthy weight is around 150-ish, right? Or in that range. And that for some people is like, a ridiculous number. So, you know what I mean? So for me, just removing that metric system just has been, how do I feel? Am I moving my body every day? Am I trying to get all my food groups and nutrition in? Am I, feeling good? Am I feeling, like those things are what's important to me today.
And Amanda, you just hit the nail on the head for me, because what you just said is really everything. It's not even about any metric. It's not about body fat percentage. It's about, am I doing the things that I should be doing? And if you're judging yourself based on the effort that you're putting in, I mean, I don't love judging yourself in general, but if that's the metric you're using to say, hey, am I doing well? That is a much healthier place than trying to say, have I reached some number or some percentage or some dress size or whatever? Because what you're doing, number one, you can actually change that. You can actually affect that. If I am not doing the things I need to be doing tomorrow, I can.
Even today, the next choice you make can be a positive one.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, I can do it today.
Yeah, no, you're so right. Yeah, it doesn't have to wait. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till Monday. Don't wait till January. I say that all the time. Like, what you're doing matters. And I've always found that's when I start to feel, I get a little pride in myself. And I tell people all the time, when you start strength training regularly, the first change you're going to see in your body is this. You're going to just be a little more proud of who you are and what you're doing. And it's not hubris. It's a genuine, pride. It's confidence. Yeah, I don't look the way I want to look yet, or I don't whatever yet, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm moving in the right direction. And when I find myself moving in the right direction, I find myself feeling a lot more content with who I am.
Absolutely. Do you see this comment?
I do.
Am I doing what I need to be doing? Great question for all aspects of life. And the contrary to that, I want to ask you, Tim, this is a big thing I hear a lot of times, and I've experienced it myself. Like, if you choose to eat the cake or you choose to eat the cookie, to just be okay with it. Like, if you miss the gym, you're going to be all right. Guess what? November, December, and I got flu, COVID, I had a surgery. I was barely working out, but guess what? My body didn't change that much. Yeah, when I'm going back to the gym, maybe I'm not as strong right now and I have to build back up to that, but that's even cool now. Sore again, you know what I mean? So speaking of that, I think that is like a huge thing. Like, I ate a cookie today. I ruined everything. I'm a terrible person.
That's
I'll eat the cookie and I'll be damn proud I ate the cookie. I'll just tell you right now.
right. Well, you don't have to be proud of it either. You're allowed to feel however you feel about it. But what that often does, what I see that happen all the time, is it leads you to the fuck it's. You're like, oh, I had a cookie, so fuck it. I already ruined my diet. I'm going to go get McDonald's. I'm going to just load up. Because what's happening is you're buying into the lie that your mistake, or that the choice you made, is describes who you are, and it's a judgment about yourself. Like, I am weak, I am bad. None of that's true. And so, really, for me, if you know the recovery world, you've probably heard the Serenity Prayer, and I talk about this all the time. But I ate the cookie. Last night was a crazy night. We went to McDonald's. Like, my time machine's broken. So that is all stuff I cannot change. That is all things that I need to accept, because I can't do anything about it. All I can control is right now, and making the choices that I am going to be proud of. And that's really where I want to go with it. Am I going to make choices that I'm proud of? And Amanda, if every time I eat cookies, I feel like shit for a week and I really just hate myself. Yes, you can try to get into a better place where you don't feel like that. But if you know that, then I want you to do your best to make better decisions, not because I care about the cookie and your calories. I care about you feeling proud of the decisions you're making.
Yeah, how it makes you feel.
Yeah, that's it.
There was a time where things were different for me, where if I did eat one thing that was off, that I would just want to eat all that all day. I don't know, maybe because I went to like 9 months of therapy related to body image.
Yeah.
And did work around that for me, like, I can have just a bite of something and I'm okay with that now. But I know a lot of people in my life that if they do, it triggers like a phenomenon of craving that they can't stop having sugar.
It does for me. It really does for me. So I still eat the same low carb diet I've been eating since I decided to get in shape 6 years ago. 6-7 years ago now. I was suicidal in rehab, and then when I decided, all right, I guess I'm gonna stick around here. I might as well not hate the way I look or hate myself. So I started making decisions that made me proud of myself, which again became the foundation for my recovery. And the easiest way I knew at the time was to just cut out carbs, and that's all I knew. I know a lot more about nutrition and fitness now, so I'm able to put more context on that. But what I found for myself is that when one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. When I eat something that doesn't really fit that metric, it might be the only thing I eat. I might not feel guilty about it, but I'm going to be craving fries for a week. So I choose not to have that fight with myself. And it's been, and again, these are decisions I feel proud of. I don't think for a second that that's the only way to get healthy, or the only way to lose, weight if you have a weight loss goal. I don't. I've seen the science. I've seen so many people do this in other ways. You got to find what works for you. But Knowing yourself gives you that ticket to be able to do what works for you.
Absolutely. Exactly. That self-awareness. And I think that, if there is an area, like for me, I reached out to people when I was in that struggle that were specialists in this space of what I was going through. And I was like, hey, who should I see? This is what is going on with me, and I'm going through. And I stepped up and did that work, even though I had the shame and the guilt. And I found out for me what works for me. And I think that every journey, just like everyone's, today in today's world, like everyone's mental health journey, Merrick, please, I want a live video. Son's like digging in the kitchen.
Hey, we're talking about food. I'm sure the guy wants to eat.
Yeah. So it's for me, it's, like just stepping up and doing that work and finding out what works for me and getting that self-awareness and self-knowledge. Right. And you're comfortable. And I want to ask you, like, so a few years ago, we experienced a bump in the road, right? Together, we walked this journey. So I know that I don't know all the specifics, just because sometimes our conversations are literally like, we're talking while I'm at the gym, or we're in and out
while you're in the middle of some reps, right?
Yeah, like, hey Tim, let's get into a deep conversation real quick while I'm in that's just what I do. But so like, can you share? I think it'll just be super helpful if you're comfortable with sharing, like, kind of what spiraled that, because what you shared with me was some of the body stuff was what propelled it.
Yeah, tremendously. So I had been pretty new into training, and I was doing well, and it led me to being around more trainers and being around all these other people that are in fitness, and many of them looked better than I did to me, just in my opinion. They had things that I wished I had, things that I was telling myself, oh, as soon as I get there, I'll be happy. They already had these things. And then I'm going, all right, well, I'm not even as good as them. And then I'm their boss. I continue to get promoted. And now I'm like, so the foundational thing for my relapse, the starting point there is that I was not happy with who I was. I didn't feel authentic. I didn't feel like I deserved what I had. And so since I didn't like myself, I needed you to. I needed the validation externally, where I didn't feel like I was going to be good enough. And so what I was doing then is I was just taking absolutely every client that I could. I was working every day from about 4 or 5 a.m. till 7 or 8 at night, because that's when the clients want to go. And I'm going to work. I'm going to take it. It's just work. It's work. It works good.
Yeah.
I'm blessed. And I just kept piling it on like that. What I see now is that I wasn't doing that because I wanted to help so many people. I wasn't that altruistic. I was doing that because I needed that validation. I needed to look like I was a very good trainer. I needed to look like I'm so good I have all these clients.
Right.
And that is all that mattered to me at the time. And so I was taking so many clients, I don't think I'd worked out for like 3 months. Not once, not done a sit-up. So now I already didn't feel like I was good enough to belong. And now I just feel like a full-on hypocrite all the time. I still knew what I know. I still knew consistency matters, so I'm telling people these things that are correct, and I'm not living them at all. I'm telling, hey, you'll never have time, you don't make time, and I don't have time. It was a place that just amplified, and I watched that self-worth just spiral, because at the end of the day, bottom line, I was not making decisions that I was proud of.
Absolutely.
And
That's the core, right?
Yeah. And so then I look in the mirror, I don't like what I see, I don't like how I feel, and I think, all right, man, I really just wish I could go get some junk food. But I literally said to myself, I can't do that because I already am worried about my fitness and my image here. But you know what has no calories? Drugs. So I went and that's literally what my relapse looked like. It looked just like that.
Yeah, that's a lot of clarity for a lot of people. And and you shared with me too, the shame and the guilt you had about being a man that's in this role and feeling like you're phony and feeling like you're not comfortable and secure in your body. And I've watched you, I can't believe it's already been the amount of years it's been, but I've watched you transform since that time. You've always been magical to me, and you've always been had so much to offer. And I know that you started you train with Pit Fitness, and you have your own clients. And I know that you're also starting your own online coaching program. And can you share some of what has transpired from that kind of I guess that what needed to happen, that breakthrough that needed to happen, and where you are now?
Yeah, it really came down to getting refocused and getting my ego in check, because all of that comes out of comes from a place where I think these people are judging me, or I think people are going to judge me. They're going to think I'm a hypocrite. I'm worried about this judgment from other people. And then it's not realizing that it's not that bad. It's realizing they're not even thinking about you, dude. You're not that important. It's nobody's at home, watching TV tonight thinking, Tim looked kind of chubby today. It's not a thing. Nobody does that.
Right. No, everyone's too worried about their damn selves.
Yeah, exactly right. So, that was kind of the really the foundation of it, the beginning of it for me. I'm gonna take a little walk here, and it was, getting that kind of ego check, getting right sized there was really the beginning, the foundation, the starting point of being able to be healthy again, mentally and physically, and then being sorry. I need one second. There we go.
Are you just pulling what my son just pulled, making noise?
I'm 30 people are walking into the gym right now. And,
okay, true.
Even though I was told it was free till 2. So anyway, so I'm just stepping out where I can be
I'll allow it.
Private. I'm doing the opposite of what your boy was doing. Anyway, so yeah, it was getting right sized was really the heart of being able to move forward in that direction, and then getting focused on the effort and forgetting about the outcome. Amanda, that changed my life. Starting to look at, like I said, it's the same way of saying what we already said with, am I making decisions that I'm proud of, that I will be proud of? It's saying, hey, I'm doing the right stuff. I'm living the way I want to live. It doesn't matter what the specific results are right now, because I know that I'm doing them. And when you do that, you can have faith in the results. And that's what I tell people now, every client. I say, listen, you're not in the results business anymore. You are in the effort business. And you
Yeah,
can have faith.
that's
You
a
can
big
have
shift.
faith. Yeah, the results will come if you do the work. We know that. We know that for a fact. I tell, I can't get 10 years of sobriety, but I can get right now. I can get
24
right now.
hours.
And I can get right now again and again and again, maybe. And then we'll see what happens. But I got to focus on right now. I can't build an ounce of muscle. I can't do it. I can't burn an ounce of fat, but I can, eat healthy food that makes me feel good. And I can, work out in ways that challenge myself. And I know I have total faith that when I do those things, and I get excited about having done those things, and I'm proud of the work that I've done. When I get to that place, the results are going to be bigger than I ever could have imagined. Usually, I have found in my life that when I don't get what I want, once I get over myself and start being humble enough to handle the work that's right in front of me to the best of my ability, I wind up with better than I ever could have asked for.
Absolutely. Letting go of the results, like just showing up and doing the footwork and
Yes.
letting go of the outcome. That's definitely been a theme of my life in many respects over the past, however many years, but especially the past few months, like everything that just shifted and changed in front of my face, but has been what was the best, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
Let go and just say, okay, this is the way it is. And let me just go with it. And
Right.
it sometimes will shock you.
Yeah, and it gives you a roadmap to handle stuff too, because if you start getting focused on your effort, when something surprising comes down the pipe, you can start, you can process whatever feelings you have about it, but you also somewhere in there probably pretty quickly start asking yourself, what do I do about this? How do I actually take action? What are the things I can control here?
Awesome. So can you talk about like what you've been focusing on your own coaching that has been brought upon by your experience? Because men that women, but specifically just, I feel like I want to highlight the men here with this topic, but that are struggling with this, with whether with body image, with getting on this fitness path and maybe having the wrong kind of goals, but really have a desire underneath to get to the core. Like, you offer so much in this respect, and it's a unique thing, and no one else I know does this. So
thank you. Yeah, the first and most important thing I try to do for every client is listen and try to really understand where you are and what you're dealing with. I've found that many people have the same kind of underlying things going on, the same type of guilt and shame about the way they eat or about the way they look. I see that regularly, but it's not everybody. I see that most people there's common things. I eat good all day, and then in the night I just lose it and I snag my face up and I feel guilty and shameful about that. But that's not everybody. It's just most. So I don't talk to people as in, I know what's happening, I know who you are. I don't know yet, and I want to know. So number one is, tell me what your specific struggle is.
right.
And then number two, I take it back to serenity prayer stuff. I don't use that language with folks that aren't in the program, but I want to talk about, okay, so some of what you just described, we can't control. I can't control that your wife's always going to have 10 boxes of Oreos in the house at all time. I can't control that. What can we control?
Right.
We can control, what you do about those Oreos. We can even control how you feel about it, after you have, to a degree. So we look at that, and we make a plan for how to do that. I try to live in the place as a coach where I'm helping them, helping give the wisdom needed to know the difference between what you can and can't control, and direct that. The other thing that I really, really try to do is I work hard to be motivating, but understanding. We got to push. And if you tell me, Tim, I want this goal, I'm committed to this goal, I'm getting married in a year and I want to change that, I'm going to fit in this dress size, jacket size, whatever, cool. I want to help you with that. And I want to remind you, the only way to do that are to make the changes that we talked about or that you agreed to, whatever. But when you come in, you're like, dude, I just lost it all the weekend. Hey, I get it. I totally get it. I know what that feels like. I've been there. You don't have to hate yourself for that. But remember, this is a choice that doesn't make you feel good about yourself. So the next time we're staring down the barrel of that gun, remember this feeling so that you can make another decision you can be proud of. And then we look for small wins, any win, and we celebrate the ever living hell out of it.
Love that.
Especially wins that are effort based. Yeah,
Absolutely.
you lose a couple pounds, great. But I showed up every day this week. Boom, you're doing it. I'm proud of you.
And honestly, historically, that's quite the opposite of personal trainers and coaches. There was a lot of shaming going along with that. Like, you can't do this, or you did, and honestly, it's a lot like that in my field, right? And my side of the things, like meeting people where they are with their mental health, their addiction, whatever it is, not shame-based approach, right? Support, direct. Yes, having the firm boundaries and the honesty and things like that, but meeting with love and celebrating the wins, because the wins are going to be different for every person. It's gonna look different for every person.
And it's funny. I don't remember exactly what you just said. Something you said triggered this memory for me. I've heard trainers with like Ozempic and the weight loss medications that are becoming available now, and I've heard a lot of trainers get really upset about this, like angry. That's fucking bullshit. Just put the cake down and get back to work. This is done. And to me, that just sounds like a guy who is afraid that this new thing is going to mean his business is going to dry up because people won't need him anymore. But more than that, somebody who just does not understand what most of us are going through. And I don't think everybody should be on Ozempic, but I think it's not on the face of it a tool that we should be throwing away. It's something to talk about with your doctor. Like, use this as part of the picture if it makes sense for you. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's about understanding. It's about saying, I really do know that you tried really hard and you still ate whatever, and I love you anyway, and you're awesome.
Yeah. And I think also you and I have a different understanding too. We both have been severely overweight.
Oh, yeah.
I remember at 26, I went to the doctor and they told me I was obese and I had high cholesterol. And that was a really hard thing to hear after a lifetime of being a model and having this like perfect body without doing a thing, that I got to the category of obesity, 200 pounds ish, and so we have a unique experience. I think it was a hard thing to go through, but it was one of the best things for me and humbling to go through because, the fact that I was able to get through that and has made me, it's helped me in so many ways to help others.
And I was going to say, it's also serving you in the way that you're there for other people in your work with Next Level Recovery Associates, because you understand people that are, you understand people that are making decisions, that are unhealthy to them. They know they should stop and that they can't stop. And that's the heart of addiction. So you're there, but you also see it in a way that isn't as severe. It's a little more insidious when it comes to like, food, diet, and exercise. Like, heroin is going to kill me tomorrow. Food's going to kill me in 10 years, 20 years, But more than that, my quality of life is going to be trashed right away. And so you're able to say, hey, I know what it's like. I know how you feel. I mean it. And there's a way out. And so it's just the same, whenever we have experience conquering something that was a struggle, it really equips us to help the next guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there is, I just want to, for any, like, if there's anyone watching here that's like an eating disorder clinician, because I have a number of contacts that are that, like, this is not, we're not talking about like severe eating disorder, right? Like a diagnosed severe, like hospitalization, like that's a whole nother ballgame, which needs a medical, clinical,
absolutely
full component. We're talking about kind of the everyday struggle of the human being, right?
Yes. Yes.
Those of us, so I just want to that because there is I've spoken to many severe cases. I even read this article recently in New York Times of like this woman who wants to be supported in end of life care because of her eating disorder, because she does not want the help. And it was I read the article and I judged it right away. I read it and it's terribly sad. I don't know that I agree with it, but there was different doctors' opinions in it. But I think that's just is absolutely heartbreaking. This woman that just wants to deteriorate and be left with comfort meds to die like that.
Yeah, let me go. It's too hard. The work's too hard. I can't do it. And that's, let me circle back to what you said earlier, because that's it. That that feeling. That feeling well. I know that feeling well, where I probably 1,000 times said, you know what? It's too hard. I'm never gonna win anyway. So give me that Oreo, and give me those Reese's Pieces. And you make that decision, and then later you're like, man, like I could have done better. Like that craving is so strong and draws you so hard. But yeah, to get to that place where you are yeah, whatever. It's not going to work for me anyway. So I'm just gonna do what I want right now. I think we have a really incredible capacity as, yeah, as I don't say healthy, but as without a diagnosed specific like severe eating disorder, human beings. Just that's the condition I have is human. It I have this incredible capacity to rationalize and justify doing what I want to do anyway. And sometimes it's as dumb as, well, whatever. You're already gonna lose, so who cares? You know, like, give me that thing I want.
F it.
And it's not true. It's just not true. And you're right. I'm not talking about somebody who is struggling with anything remotely resembling, anorexia, bulimia, any of the eating disorders that are out there. Probably so many I don't even know about. But it's interesting how so many regular humans that I know, will use clinical diagnosis terms as just a casual, like, oh yeah, I have body dysmorphia for sure. Oh yeah, I'm a little OCD, and it's, well, that's a real thing, and you're probably not, but you're saying that because you can relate to the concept of it. You're saying that because you understand it on some level. And so if we were to say that, if you don't have a full clinical diagnosis of body dysmorphia, I don't need to talk to you about how, you actually look better than you think. I think you're missing it. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, like, for any of my clinician friends that are watching, like anyone that's working with somebody with some body issues or discovering this phase or whatever, I think someone like Tim is great to partner with, because Tim can help implement some of the clinical recommendations or work with a new dietitian, if there are those pieces going on. I think that someone who gets it, who's been through it, who's trained, and has dedicated their passion moving forward into this space. So if someone wants to work with you in this capacity, is watching this and is like, hey, I'm a man, woman, whatever, unidentified, whatever, whoever they are, they want to work with you, they're connecting to what you're putting out. Like, how do they find you and how do they do this?
Sure. The easiest thing to do is reach out to me on Instagram. My Instagram is Timstagram, CPT for certified personal trainer. You can search for Tim Kassouf, the name that I have up there as well, because there's not too many of us. So you'll look for the bald guy, and that'll be me. Find me on Instagram. You'll actually be able to you can just observe for a little while and see if the messages that I'm sharing resonate with you. If you're not ready to reach out, or by all means, you can reach out right away. And I'd be thrilled to talk about if I can help you and how I can help you. And that is absolutely where I would start with anybody, because I'm not the right, the things I provide are not the right answer for everyone.
Right.
And if they are, I'll do everything I can to support somebody through finding the way to make the choices that they're going to be proud of tomorrow. Amanda, there was one other thing I have to say.
Absolutely, please.
I have to say.
You want this is your space, my friend.
Thank you. It is also totally okay if you want to change your body. You don't have to feel bad that you aren't happy with your body and you want to make a change. You want to lose some weight. You want to build muscle. That is A-okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's human. It's normal. It's natural. Get to work. We can show you how to do it. That's great. I think the problem arises when you're judging somebody else or judging yourself, your value, your worth for your health and your fitness today. The way I say it is this: most people that are struggling with severe obesity or being overweight, it's not even largely their fault. There are a genetic and sociological, there's so many factors that are working against them. But just because it's their fault doesn't mean it's not their problem. It's still a health problem, and it's something we need to work on. Every human is so valuable, and your weight has nothing to do with your value or worth as a human at all. But it does have something to do with your health, and it does have something to do with a reflection of the choices that you prioritize. And if you can get your actions to line up with your priorities, you're going to just be more at peace, be more centered, and be, like I said earlier, a little more proud to be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, happy and at peace,
Yes.
and like and if I did say this, like, I definitely continually try to improve my body, my aging process, those things, but the way and the lens that I do it through is the difference, right?
It's why you're doing it. Am I doing it because I think I'm worthless? Then we're going to have trouble.
Or like, if you think you're going to arrive when you get to this place and it's going to solve all your problems, those are where you run into some struggles. It's okay to want to improve your mental health, your physical health, your fitness, your body. It's all those things are beautiful. It depends on what's behind it, what the intentions are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said.
Well, thank you. That was a super important piece to close it with, because again, we're not shaming those who are all about that. Like, that's
Yeah,
cool
go
too.
get it. You
Go
can
do,
pursue
go
it
be you.
relentlessly.
Pardon?
You can pursue growth relentlessly.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Tim, for taking time with me today and being patient with me, starting off, with my little bumps in the road with my technology. And
Amanda, I will always be there to help you in absolutely any way that I can, forever and ever. Amen. Always.
same, same. I have your back. We're connected. We have a soul connection. So,
Absolutely.
and I adore your wife, and I love your life, and I love watching all the things you've gone through and all of the things you've, that you just continue to walk through, how you showed up for your dad, how you show up for the things that are adverse in your life. Like, I just give you a lot of credit for how much you've grown. So proud of you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Find Tim on Instagram, Timstagram.
CPT.
All right.
That's me.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
You can find me, Amanda Marino, on Amanda Marino Recovery on Instagram and TikTok. And you can also find Next Level Recovery Associates has its own pages. Please tune in. We do the live streams generally on Tuesdays from 12:30 to 1:30. But, when I have individuals that have different schedules, we do them different times, like today. So thanks so much for being here. And thanks for being here, Tim. We loved the message you spread today. Have a great day.